In English, your Rogersville accent is present.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, no? Wit? You don't know wit? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. I'm off to a great start today.
So what do you want to talk about? I don't know what you're saying.
I don't even know why I said that.
And then you correct yourself like, what? No, but like a toad would say, like, what?
All right. Thank you for the compliment. Calling me a toad.
Yeah, so I think we got an interesting show coming out. You want to get it going?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 7 of Overthinking Anxious. I'm Paris.
I'm Marty. And yeah, welcome. I think we got a great show lined up for you, episode number 7. I'm excited because there's some interesting subjects we're going to talk about. So I'm actually looking forward to getting into the conversation. And also, we received an email, which is awesome.
We did.
Every time we get an email, well, it's like, woohoo. So if you guys have anything to share with us, your story, your opinion on the show, ideas for subjects, anything, send us an email and we'll be happy.
Absolutely. And our email is overthinkinganxious@gmail.com.
Sorry, I took a sip of my coffee at the same time you were throwing out the email address. It's hot. You got to slurp when it's hot.
Okay. All right. So let's try this again. So our email is overthinkinganxious@gmail.com.
Right. How about we get right into the email?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's start with that. And then we'll get into the nitty-gritty from there.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we got an email. Let me go to the email. This is a message from Jeff, who discovered us on TikTok. Ooh, nice. Hey guys, I've listened to all your episodes. The discussions are super interesting and I love the laughter and the good vibes you guys bring. I hope you guys continue to post episodes as they help me a lot. I can't wait to hear more. I struggle to make the necessary changes in my life to become a better version of myself. I need to be healthier. I don't have any energy and I can barely walk 1 kilometer without feeling like I'm dying. That sucks. How do I get it all done? Seems impossible. Well, for our second or third email, this one is a good one.
Yeah, it is a good one.
Whew.
There's definitely a lot that we can talk about just with that email alone. So I think we're going to dedicate most of our episode to that.
Yeah, when we read that, we were really talking about, what we're doing. We've been doing for a while. Putty's longer than I, but the calorie deficit, and also throwing in some exercise in there and all that stuff. So we thought it would be good to get into that discussion at this point in the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so you know, guys, like Marty and I are no experts. We don't have professional training from a medical standpoint or whatever the case is. We're just two people who have experience based on our personal life journeys. So take what you want out of the conversation, but really it's kind of like digging into what works best for you. We all have different health journeys as well. So depending on what is going on with your life, certain things might not work for you. So it's always important to kind of talk to your doctor about some of the changes that you're looking at making as well, just to make sure that it's the right decision.
Yeah, that's definitely important. There's nothing wrong with sharing and sharing each other's experience a little bit, and then the knowledge that we pick up along the way from other people. And that's why I think it's great to have a discussion about it.
Absolutely.
So what do you think of the email? What would be your first reaction from Jeff's email?
So the first thing that catches my attention is kind of like, I don't know where to start, or I don't know how to get started. So one of the biggest things, because I've been on a health journey multiple times in my life and I've failed quite a few times.
So have I.
We've all struggled, right? But I think what's different this time is that I really reflected on why I needed to make the changes in my life. And I kind of had like a breaking point. So I remember being at my heaviest at 266 pounds, barely able to walk up a flight of stairs. I had a hard time like running my errands, whether it was doing grocery shopping, just because of the walking that was needed. I had a hard time tying my shoes, things like that. That was the breaking point for me. At that time, I was like, I can't live my life like this anymore. So I think that is an important process to go through, to kind of like hit your breaking point or realize like that you don't want to live the life that you are living right now and why. Did you have a breaking point, Marty, as well?
Last Christmas, I was 306 pounds. So come January, I had lost a little bit, and I was down to like 295 through January and February. At that point, when I come back from a trip to Ottawa, being uncomfortable on the plane, et cetera, COVID hit. Within a few weeks of that, I got to a breaking point where I was like, I'm so unhappy, like I'm going to fall into depression again, and I really don't know where to start. And so that for me was like a breaking point. So it all started with a TikToker that I discovered in March. And he was on a health journey and he was dancing, eating better. And it kind of just inspired me to say, all right, go down to your studio in your basement, start dancing,
Mm-hmm.
crank the tune, start dancing, and try to eat a bit better, make better choices. By that time, I was eating, burgers 2-3 nights a week easily.
Okay.
Anytime. It was just eating out, eating shit. Not good. So that dancer on TikTok inspired me. So I started doing that. And then I started incorporating little workouts. Oh, once in a while, a little walk. And then in May, I discovered that Joe Rogan podcast with Rhonda Patrick. And this was like, we're already into COVID at this point. And Rhonda Patrick is talking with Joe Rogan about the importance of your immune system and getting in better shape, being able to fight viruses such as the new COVID-19 virus that was out, that you had a better chance if you had a better immune system. And how to get a better immune system? Well, to eat healthy, exercise, be healthy, and take vitamins, et cetera, et cetera. So I listened to that and I was like, boom. This was a dial-in point. So my break-in point was at Christmas, and this was a dial-in, like 100% dial-in point in May when I heard that podcast. And yeah, since then I've done pretty good strides into a positive direction, and then had a couple of fallbacks with like cigarette smoking, which is a big like for me, It's something that I need to control and figure out.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and you will, but
I'm on a full rant. I don't even know if any of that made sense.
it did. It did, but it was quite the process for the one question, for the breaking point.
It was.
But no, it was good. But it's interesting that you're talking about your breaking point happening in December, and then you getting dialed in April, May. Something similar happened to me, but like way longer than you. So I had my breaking point at my heaviest, but that was like back in June of 2017. And I started an attempt at a weight loss journey in October of 2017. So quite a few months later. Not because I needed to prepare for anything. It's just because I didn't feel like it. I was like really down. So it took me a while to even get the motivation to get started. Then I kind of like jumped in and I went really hardcore with the nutrition and the exercise. And then in 7 months, I lost like 58 pounds. But then I got sort of an injury to my knee and it slowed me down. And then I stopped and I gained in a period of 2 years, I gained 35 pounds back. So when COVID happened, I don't think I had a breaking point because I already had that big breaking point a few years back. But I kind of had like this time I need to do it right. So in March, when COVID happened, I made the decision that I was going to start a new lifestyle journey. But this time, what I did different is I waited a few months because I really only started in May. But I took those few months to kind of get started. So to answer Jeff's question, I guess what I did is I made a decision that I needed to make a lifestyle change. But instead of changing stuff right away, I kind of sat down over the next, 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And first, I needed to realize why I had gotten the way that I had. What caused me to get to the 266? What caused me to lose a bunch of weight, but then gain it back and give up? So I think when you really, reflect and realize what the root cause is of your weight gain or of you not taking care of yourself, that's when you realize what you need to fix. Because the reason I failed the 2 years ago is because I didn't focus on why I had gained weight in the first place. Yeah, I did the exercise, I did the nutrition, and we'll go into details a little bit later. I did do all of that and I was successful, but because I didn't work on my mental health, as soon as some of my triggers happened, I went back to my old habits because I hadn't fixed that.
Right.
So to me, the important thing was to realize why I got there in the first place. So I think that's a great place to start.
That's good. Awesome. Nice. When did you start calorie deficit? In May?
Yep, in May.
Okay. I started calorie deficit in
Like a month and a half ago. November is when you started, yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of a newbie and but I'm enjoying it.
Calorie deficit means that you are burning more calories than you are eating or taking in.
I kind of see it as a game in a sense. Just try to stay within your points. It's a little technical and it sounds a little freaky,
But I love it.
but there's something really cool about it and you get the hang of it pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm legit ADHD, organizational issues. Like I'm not like I have a hard time organizing sometimes like my schedule or my life. ADHD certainly contributes to that. So at first, the MyFitnessPal app, which is the app that you use when you're in calorie deficit. I mean, there's other apps and other options, I'm sure, but this one is a popular one. When I started using MyFitnessPal, I thought I was going to like panic and freak out. I had anxiety about it, but I got the hang of it really quickly. And of course, it certainly helped in my case that Paris, you helped me kind of get familiar and accustomed to it. And you would put in the first week or 2, 3, whatever, you would put in my menu. And
yeah.
So that helped a lot, of course, right off the bat, right? But if you can kind of get the hang of MyFitnessPal, figure out what your calorie intake should be per day as per your, weight, age,
And height and gender.
there you go.
Unless you're able to somehow be hooked up to a professional monitor 24/7, there's no real way to determine how many calories your body's burning. Now, if you don't have access to a Fitbit watch or an Apple Watch or whatever the case is, it's okay. MyFitnessPal, once you log in, it will give you based on the details that you're putting in. So your current weight, your height, your gender, and what your goal weight is. It will give you an amount of calories that you could be looking at consuming on a daily basis. But at the end of the day, if you are properly doing calorie deficit, you will lose weight. If you are not losing weight, is because you are consuming too many calories or burning too little calories.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I really feel that it's a game. Once you figure out your numbers, it becomes a game for me. Of course, I'm kind of a competitive person and I enjoy challenges. So this type of situation, I turn it into a challenge just because I have like that competitive spirit or that competitive edge. And some nights I lose, sometimes I end up in the red, like, oh shit, I binge ate, emotions were high or something initiated like a binge eating situation. Anyway, long story short, I don't always win, but my average is pretty damn good, for a rookie. I'd say about 80% and growing, sometimes maintaining for a few days, staying the same, kind of just hovering around that 80%. Oh, sometimes I'll go up to 85, 86, 87% because I'm really doing well, It's not like a magic pill, but if you turn it into a game, then it can be fun. And every week you learn something new.
And maybe you can fact check this, Marty, because my brain is a little mush there, but
I love fact checking.
I do believe that in order to lose 1 pound, you need to be in calorie deficit of 1,000. So 1,000 calories equals a pound, I believe.
In general, if you cut 500 to 1,000 calories a day from your typical diet, you'll lose about 1 pound a week.
Okay.
And that is from the Mayo Clinic.org, which is a government site in the US.
Talking about like MyFitnessPal and counting calories, it's not for everyone, right? So I love it because I feel like I'm more in control of what I'm putting into my body, and I have a better understanding of the certain foods that I'm eating and what impact it has on my day. But there's a lot of people out there that do not want to track what they eat, and that's okay. Now, how do you know if you're in calorie deficit if you're not tracking your calories? Well, it's as simple as if you're not losing weight, you're eating too many calories.
Right.
So you don't have to track necessarily in MyFitnessPal exactly what you're eating, how many ounces, how many grams, how many cups or whatever. But I would suggest having like just a little journal and do it for a couple weeks and just jot down what you're eating. And then if you haven't lost the weight, then look at that journal and be like, okay, well, maybe I need to cut back on a couple things. And then when you cut back, if you're still not in calorie deficit, meaning you're not losing weight, then you need to cut a little more. I think the biggest thing for me is that because I was using MyFitnessPal and I was entering my food in, I was able to see how many calories each item equal to. And there's certain things that I was mind blown. And I'm like, well, no wonder I got to where I went.
Exactly.
Like, it's because of all this shit that I was putting in my body and how many calories there was. I'd never realized some of the stuff that I was eating that I thought was okay for me, but it wasn't.
I was very surprised to see the numbers. For the first few weeks, I still had crackers here. There's no crackers left. There's no Ritz left.
And you don't buy anymore.
There's no fucking grain wafers left. No, I'm not buying anymore because if I have it here, what am I going to do?
You're going to eat it all.
I'm going to polish it. On a random binge night, I'm going to polish it. So there's no need to have it. You can have some snacks, just have the right snacks.
Exactly. And I mean, some people have a hard time too. Well, I don't want to cut out the foods that I love. And you don't have to. But if you are looking to lose weight and still want to eat the foods that you love, you have to accept that you're going to have to shrink the quantity that you're eating. So yeah, you can have a burger. You can have pasta. you can have whatever, right? Fries. But are you going to be able to eat a supersized fry and still be able to consume 2 meals and 2 snacks and stay within your calories? No, probably not. So it's just about quantity.
So here's a perfect example. I used to eat on a perfect snack night was like a pepperoni stick, like in those wrappers. That was top line there. This is top grade Marty B snack on a hockey night, like watching the game. And folks, there's 3 games a week on TV. So this is 3 times a week kind of sermon. Pepperoni stick, chip, dip, 1, most likely 2 355 milliliter cans of Pepsi. The Philadelphia cream cheese dip, dill pickle or onion, herbs and spice. They're all fucking good. Oh! And the bag of chips, whether it was the Ruffles or the Lay's, doesn't matter. Sometimes fucking no name, whatever. A little bit of salt. Throw it into the dip. Scoop it like it's scoop. Polish off the dip within 20 minutes, half an hour. Takes about 2, just soup bowls there of chips. Watching the game, pepperoni, Pepsi, boom. Yeah. Fucking second period intermission there, you're starting to get antsy again. Your chips is like way back pre-game there. Now you're in the third, heading into the third. There's pressure. You're down 1. You got to kill a penalty coming into the third. The stress is high a little bit. Grab a sleeve of fucking graham wafers.
And what else do you need with
and my milk?
Wafers? Your milk, yeah.
Right, so I have like the bag of milk and my graham wafers in a sleeve.
Graham.
And then I pour a glass of milk. I set up my paper towel, which
12.
Yeah, well, I typically have like 6 or 7 next to me. And then I lay like 2 layers under the glass so that I can dip freely and not make a mess anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't do it anymore, so you can't call me out anymore.
No.
I might do it one day, someday, for a reward. But anyway, and then I lay it all out, open the sleeve, take 3 graham wafers, full ones, and then dip 3, 4, out. Put your middle finger under the soaking half of the graham wafers. Bring it to your mouth. Inhale, basically, like inhale. You know what I mean? The soft graham wafers. And in your left hand, you have 3 half graham wafers left.
Uh-huh.
So you got a second dip, like instantly. You dip it. It takes 3.5 to 4 seconds, folks. You take it out, take your middle finger under, inhale it. There is no caviar. There is no oysters. There is no perfect. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. There's no other perfect scenario than topping off your night with a sleeve of graham wafers and milk.
Well.
How did we detract? Weren't we talking about calorie deficit? I had a moment of like nostalgia.
Well, we were talking about like how you can eat what you want, but you have to count them. And we were also talking about how we didn't realize the certain things that we ate and how many calories there was in there. Now, I want to like sidetrack just a little bit because of something that you said. So I don't think that I wanted to talk about this like now, but you made a comment. You said, I might do it again to reward myself.
Right.
So I'm going to call you out because that's what I do. But one of the biggest problems that we have is our relationship with food. So We eat to celebrate, we eat to reward ourselves, we eat because we're depressed, we eat because we're sad, we eat for comfort. We need to eat to sustain living. We need to eat to provide our body with the nutrients necessary to live.
Mhm.
We need to change the relationship with food
So
and
true.
not as a reward.
So true. Sincerely, thank you for the reminder. It's true.
So I'm just gonna give you guys a couple of examples, and I'm gonna keep it simple from like a visual perspective so that you can imagine like the quantity that I'm talking about. So in the examples that I'm gonna be giving you guys, picture a cup.
I just want to clarify, are we talking like my Monday morning cup of coffee, like the big one? Can it be my big cup of Monday morning coffee? Is
No,
that
so a cup is 250 milliliters. A
Oh,
cup
you
is
mean
a
a
cup.
measuring cup, right? A
A measure.
measuring cup.
A cup is a cup.
Well, a cup of rice for me used to be my Monday morning coffee mug.
Just a little like sidetrack. When Marty first decided that he wanted to do calorie deficit, we quickly realized that he was not set up for measuring or anything like that. So definitely had equipped him with a food scale, some measuring cups, and some measuring spoons because yes, he would use a coffee mug for measuring.
Right. So that's why I wanted to specify what you were talking about when you were talking about a cup. Are we talking about the cups of today or the cups of yesterday?
Okay, my bad. So a cup, which is 250 milliliters or
Right.
8 ounces, whichever. Oh gosh. So we're looking at beef has 340. Healthier options. Pork loin has 240. Chicken breast has 220. So a lot lower in calories. My favorites are shrimp and haddock. So shrimp has 161 calories in a cup and haddock is 192. So very good options. Those are just like a few examples of like how many calories are in just like the one cup. And like for rice, potato, and pasta, so again, 1 cup of cooked of these items. So rice, 205, potato, 166, and pasta, 221. And I don't know about you, but like when I'm thinking about my portions, my old portions of pasta, like I probably had a good like between 4 and 6 cups of cooked pasta in my dish.
Yeah.
Does not mean I didn't go for second.
Right.
So like if 1 cup is 221 and I, go bare minimum and go with the 4 cups, we're talking about 884 calories just in pasta. That does not include the sauce that I put on it.
Right. I'm a big fan of macaroni. So
Yeah.
when I had a plate of macaroni, I mean, we're talking a plate here, ladies and gentlemen. And there's definitely like often, going to be 2 slices of bread with that cheese whiz and jam on it. Cheese whiz and strawberry jam.
That's disgusting.
Oh, no, it's
I
just
mean, I've never
delicious.
tried it. I've never tried it, so I should not, judge.
There's the
But
best combo. I'm telling you,
I don't
best
know.
combo, man. Amazing. And with like a tomato soup macaroni with hamburger. Oh, but when you think about it, guaranteed I was eating 5, 6 cups and 2 slices of white bread with cheese whiz, layered, and then a splash of strawberry jam, cheese in my macaroni. Never know.
I would guess that that meal for you would be around 2,000
Hmm.
to 2,200
Yeah, and I drink
calories.
I drink 2 large cups of milk with my supper.
So maybe 2,500 then.
Can you imagine?
And how many calories do you eat now during a day? 2,400, give or take, right?
Yeah, it's crazy to see the numbers. And the cool thing about MyFitnessPal is that you can scan the barcode and it's going to pop up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to tell you exactly what it is, and then you can just boom, check mark it and put it in your
Yeah. Put the
day.
portion you put the portion that you took, and it
Yeah.
calculates it for you.
Yeah.
Just makes it super easy.
Yeah. I love it. And I had followed a group about 3-4 years ago, a local group here, but that's growing pretty much on an international scale, Your Way Weight Loss.
Hmm.
And it's a really cool program. I mean, I would suggest it to anyone. I'm not a part of it anymore, of the community. I follow their posts on social media and stuff. But the reason why I don't attend their meetings and whatever, I still struggle with social anxiety.
Hmm.
So I still struggle with going out to meetings like that, or, and going outside of the box. I still struggle with that. It doesn't mean that I won't end up going one day again, but I still follow them on social media. It's an amazing program. Like, you do your own stuff, but it's all about calorie deficit. I dig a group like that because it's helping a lot of people, and people are having like major success.
Yeah, I follow their group on Facebook, and like they post success stories on a regular basis, and it's amazing. And you said it, like their name says it all. It's Your Way Weight Loss. So you lose the weight your own way, whatever works for you. Because we all don't have the same lifestyles. We don't have the same wants. Um, they promote not eating something that you hate. If you don't like it, do not eat it. Don't force yourself to eat something that you don't like, because you're going to be miserable, and it's going to make it so much harder to keep going. And they also promote and talk all the time about calorie deficit. It is the key to losing weight.
Hmm. There's no magic pill. Once you understand it and you grasp the concept, you understand that you're still able to eat, and you're still able to enjoy your life and have a cool rhythm of life, without getting overstressed and panic about anything. And if you have an off day, that's not the end of the world. You just try to have a great average, and at the end of the week, it shows on the scale. Your week shows on the scale, and then you can challenge yourself from there.
Exactly. I think we just need to be more aware of what we're putting in our bodies and why we're doing it. And I mentioned it earlier, but change your relationship with food. Eat because it's how you sustain a life, not because of rewards or comfort. And I was a huge emotional eater, and sometimes I still struggle with that, but that's not the reason I should be eating.
Yeah, of course. I still struggle with that too. Like, it's like alcoholism. It's like drug addiction. It's like smoking cigarettes. It's like gambling. When food becomes an addiction and you attach it to the emotions, it's going to be hard to break the cycle.
Exactly.
One of the great solutions to that is, again, to not buy food that, when you do feel emotional or you're going to binge, that you're going to fall into that food, which is high calorie stuff, and try to really gauge yourself and calculate your days and not attach food to emotions. It's fucking tough.
It is super hard. And like, staying away from the foods that you binge eat with is not the solution. The solution is fixing what causes you to binge eat in the first place. But staying away from those foods or not making them easily accessible is going to help in the process, because there's nothing more frustrating and disappointing than being, you're doing really well, and then you have a moment of weakness where you binge eat and you had all of this bad food that was accessible to you, and you binge ate like crazy, and then it's just so much harder to like start again. But if you wouldn't have had access to that food, yeah, you might have still binge ate, but you probably would have binge ate on healthier options.
Well, let me give you an example. um, Typically, I would have easily been able to do, like I said, crackers and cheese, stuff like that, cheese whiz on my crackers, whatever, like just a shitload of calories
Hmm.
in a snack. Now on a bad night, like a bad night is like 4 pierogies with lemon spread and whipped cream on it.
Yeah.
Some people who'll listen to this might not know what brogies are. So can you just kind of go through the whole thing?
Yeah. So Brogies is basically popped wheat. So it's a company out of BC, I think, and we could probably fact check that there. But you can find Brogies at Superstore, Sobeys. You can even order it online, which is what we do. It comes in big boxes, but it's like the size of a tortilla, and it's like crunchy, and it's super versatile. You can eat it with savory stuff or with sweet stuff. And each brogi, depending on which one you get, because you can get like the plain or you can get whole wheat. So like a whole wheat brogi is 25 calories. So super low calorie, super versatile. It gives you that element of crunch that you kind of look for from either a normal taco shell or from a chip or a cracker. And yeah, you put toppings on there that are of healthier options, and it makes for like a really nice snack or dessert or whatever the case is.
With no fat, low carbs, no preservatives, no artificial flavors or artificial colors, no sugar, and only 20-calorie food.
And that's the plain one. The whole wheat one is 25 calories, but
Okay.
yeah.
For some reason, the word pierogi makes me laugh.
You're like losing it over there.
Who is pierogi? Ultimately, calorie deficit is the key.
You're absolutely right, Marty. And you need to first start figuring out what you're putting in your body and what that means. And just to give you a little tip, because we could talk about calorie deficit for a very long time, and we will talk about it in future episodes. And if you have specific questions, please don't hesitate to send us an email. But if I can give you a tip, it's to really write down what you're eating, because sometimes we forget the little things that we consume. For example, like the sugar and cream in your coffee, the butter on your toast, your dressing in your salad. All of those have high calorie counts, and we kind of
And
forget about them.
they can have.
They can have,
Yeah,
yes,
depending on which one you're using or whatever, but
and
it's
how much
good.
you're putting.
It's good to analyze and monitor it, because then it makes you realize, oh yeah, okay, well that one's okay, or that one's high in sodium, or it makes you realize so many things.
Yeah, and you don't need to journal like for the rest of your life. You need to just figure out what is causing you to not lose weight. And once you have a good understanding of food and the food that you are putting into your body, and you are in that calorie deficit, or you are maintaining your weight because you've reached your goal, you don't need to keep track of everything. Because I know for like you, Marty, you eat a lot of the same stuff, right? So you already know like what you can consume in a day and still be in a calorie deficit without necessarily logging it in. You still do it, but you don't necessarily have to at this point. But it's when you kind of like change it up all the time, but it's not something you have to do for the rest of your life. Just have an understanding of what food is and what it means to you and your body.
Exactly. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. We'll keep on talking about it, like you said.
So we obviously know that we need to change our nutrition and our exercise. Nutrition is about 80%, exercise is about 20. But putting those aside, what are some of the other changes that you've had to make?
Right. Would you agree that your mindset is something that has to change?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was like super hard, right? Because your mindset is kind of like your mental health, right? Like the way that I thought about food, that I thought about myself, self love, self care, that had a huge impact on my ability to, get the motivation to change my life.
100%. I think mindset is something that grows in time as well, because you grow in confidence and you also fix a few mistakes along the way. I'm still not 100% into the mindset of what I want to achieve. But I think changing your mindset right off the bat is important. And then heading forward, trying to visualize ahead of you what you can achieve. I think that's sort of the mindset you want to get into. And when you start seeing change, then confidence comes. With confidence comes more energy. So you're going to go walk more or do more workouts, or you're going to dance more, whatever it is you choose to do. And then the weight's kind of going down. So it's exciting. But then there come certain moments when there's like a stumble or there's like rockier roads. And that's where mindset becomes important, you know,
Yeah.
and trying to reset when you've had either a bad day or a bad night or
Mhm.
a bad moment. You know, right now, my mindset is pretty damn good on the food side. My mindset is weak on my addiction to cigarettes. And my addiction is having an impact on my exercise. And I quit smoking when I started my journey back in, I think it was March. And I went from March to, I believe, July, late June, July, where I was a non-smoker. And I felt so good and so much better. I was jogging. And I think we might have even discussed this already.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I got to that mindset where I felt like, wow, man, like I'm heading towards something. I will never smoke again. Like, and the way that I feel, everything was feeling so great. And when my wife and I separated is when roughly around that time I started smoking again. Stress maybe got the best of me. For some reason, I went back to that miserable addiction. The first few weeks, it was fine. I was able to keep my stamina.
Mhm.
But as the weeks go by, my energy level has gone down by literally 50%, just because of the cigarette.
That's rough.
So mindset is important, and know that there's going to be stumbles along the way. It doesn't mean that my mindset is still not focused on this journey. It just means that I'm weak in certain aspects of it. And that is something that is really bothering me. So it's time to making a big change here again. Big changes entail a new mindset, a strong mindset. So you gotta feel confident about going into it. So anyway, long story short, I know I'm babbling along, but that's where I'm at right now, and it's not easy. No one said it would be easy. It was a good song about Sheryl Crow. No one said it would be easy. Something like that.
But yeah, you're going to have stumbles. And I think stumbles are important, right? Because I don't think that you're going to ever start a journey and make all the necessary changes and everything's going to be perfect. You're going to have stumbles, you're going to fail, but those are opportunities for you to kind of like reflect on why things didn't work and kind of like readjust certain things, right? I think reflection at the very beginning is super important. And I'll say it again, you need to figure out why you got there in the first place. Because just fixing your nutrition, just fixing your exercise, those are just going to be band-aids if you didn't fix the root cause of the problem of why you started binge eating, why you were doing emotional eating, why you stopped taking care of yourself. Knowing the why behind everything is super important. Another change that we need to focus on as well is your environment. So oftentimes the environment that we are in kind of feeds into the bad habit that we've adopted. And unfortunately, sometimes that means reevaluating some of the relationships in our life. I know for me, when I started my lifestyle change, it changed a lot of the relationships that I had. But just because I was changing my lifestyle, it doesn't mean that they had to change theirs.
Hmm. I think that's where, again, we spoke about this last episode with Melissa, actually, about what you were talking about. And that's It's definitely true. You got to change relationships. I think COVID had a huge impact on us too. Um,
Yeah.
there was a huge wave of people who decided to start taking care of themselves because they couldn't hang out with their friends anymore. They couldn't go out
Hmm.
because it's a pandemic. We're not able to. Now it's about maintaining and continuing that journey and that mission. For me, it has been a tough journey mindset wise when there's a lot of things going on in your life. And I'm sure you understand if you've gone through, a lot of changes in a short period of time and all at the same time or whatever, but it's hard to really focus on the mindset for, exercising properly, meditation, the things that not smoking, like, that's why I say that I give myself like a 75-80% because I'm not exactly where I'd like to be.
And that's okay.
It
It's a
is okay.
process.
It
It's a
is
process.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. And it doesn't freak me out too much. It does at
Hmm.
times. I get anxious about it
Yeah.
because we're our worst critic,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, but part of this process is also acceptance, right? So you need to make sure that you're accepting yourself in the moment, whether it's positive or negative moments.
Hmm.
You need to accept what you've accomplished and the failures that you've had. And we need to make sure that we don't dwell on the negatives or the what could have been. And we need to focus on the days to come and that tomorrow is a new day.
You know what I really like about what Melissa said the other day? We were talking about setting goals
Yeah.
and how she reached her goal of losing 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like, it's like, okay, Marty, set a goal. Set a goal. And when you set goals, you usually achieve them.
Yeah.
So pick up the strength now here and get your mind set in order and set yourself a goal.
Yeah, and make sure that they're attainable goals, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be big, massive goals. Like it could be, 5 pounds or 10 pounds, or it could be, walk 3 times this week or walk a 10K or whatever the case is. It doesn't have to be lose 100 pounds, you know?
Exactly. And it could also be, cut down your cigarettes to 6 cigarettes a day for this
Yeah.
week.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure to go walk at least twice. It's good for you. You breathe clean air. Make that your goal. This week, make that your goal.
Yeah.
But it's all interesting, really. It's such a mind game. Sometimes it's a mind fuck, though. Sometimes it's a mindset, but sometimes it's a mind fuck.
This is true.
So where else we going? Are we wrapping up? Where are we going?
Um, I think we need to talk about, like, before we wrap up, I think we need to talk about silence.
We all know that you're not silent.
That's a little rude.
Just saying.
Right, but episode 1, I was a little quiet. So what happened?
I have no idea.
Were you expecting this?
I was not expecting this. You're taking up about 78.4% of the airtime.
That's just because we have to edit a lot of your parts.
That's so not true.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, all that to say that we all know that you're no longer silent.
I am not. I have lots of things to say.
And that's good. It's not a bad thing.
Well, no, we have a podcast.
Exactly. I need you to talk.
Exactly.
You're the wise one here.
I try to be. Oh my goodness. So anyways, what I was trying to say is silence. So I think that we need to make sure that we stop living in silence. We need to talk about it. I know that for me, for the longest time, I didn't talk about my weight problem. I didn't talk about my binge eating. I didn't talk about my emotional eating because I was ashamed. I was literally ashamed every single time that I did it. Every time that I looked in the mirror and saw my reflection, and I was like, wow, like you let yourself get to that position, like who wants to talk about that? And who are you going to talk about it to, right? But just like anything else, talking about it is so important and it is necessary.
I agree. You were describing that, and I could feel your emotion, and when you would look at yourself in the mirror. And I've had those moments too. That's why I can feel them, because how have I let myself get to this? What
Yeah,
have I done? And you feel alone.
you do. You absolutely do. And I was thinking about, I knew that we were going to talk about these things on this episode, and I was thinking about it today. And I remember reflecting on my binge eating or emotional moments. And I remember starting to eat and feeling the comfort and feeling good about, putting the food in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But I also remember not stopping and continuing on until I felt sick to my stomach. And I really thought about why I did that. I know that it's because I needed to punish myself for even doing the behavior. I couldn't just binge eat and be happy, binge eat and be comfortable. I needed to binge eat and feel horrible about what I had just done. So I ate to the point of like feeling sick to my stomach where I was going to throw up. And I did that every single time.
Yeah, I get it. I've been there many times. And I learned from the best. My pops, my pops was a binge eater like that, and I just hope that I don't pass that on to my kids. And I feel like I might be safe on that.
But I think we're talking about it, right? Like, I know with my son, I talk about my weight loss and my new lifestyle journey with him constantly because I need him to understand why I'm doing it and how I got there. Because I always love learning from my mistakes, but from other people's mistake as well. So it's important for my kid to know the steps that I took to get to 266 pounds and kind of like teach him lessons on how to prevent that from happening. So communication is super important, and talking about it openly with him and being honest is the key for me
Yeah,
as a parent.
I agree 100%. I do the same with my kids. If they can kind of live that with me.
Absolutely. I am so lucky. I mean, my son is so supportive throughout all of this, not only with like just the mental aspect, but like from a nutrition perspective as well. Like he's excited to try new things with me and to eat healthy and like to cook with me. He goes out and hikes with me and bikes and walks, and like he's been super supportive. Like I couldn't ask for, a better kid to help me through this journey. And it's also, giving him the tools that he's going to need in his life as well.
That's cool. It's perfect. Well, I think we got a show.
I think we do.
It was an interesting conversation, and I hope it helps one person minimum.
Yeah.
And if you happen to listen to this episode from start to finish, and for some reason it had a cool impact or a positive impact on you, do us a favor, send us an email. We want to know how people are feeling about the podcast and about what we talk about.
Yeah. And I think there's so many more things that we could talk about when it comes to a lifestyle change, whether it's calorie deficit, exercising, the mental challenges that comes along with it. So please, if you guys have specific questions that we should bring up in future episodes, please let us know what they are. And Jeff, I want to thank you for sending us the email that kind of inspired this episode. And I'm hoping that it helped answer some of the questions that you had.
And by the way, if we don't know the answers to any of your questions, we'll reach out to people who know them and we'll have them on as guests. It'll
Yes.
just stem a new conversation. And that's what it's all about. Overthinking and anxious, a guy and a girl just having a conversation. So we're on social media as well.
We are. So you can find us on Facebook Instagram, and Twitter, Overthinking and Anxious. We're also on TikTok under the same name.
Yeah.
And our email, overthinkinganxious@gmail.com.
We post every day.
We do.
We post videos, we post quotes, all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah. And we're also on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the major listening platforms.
Yeah, so check us out. Hopefully, if you enjoy the show, subscribe, and then you'll get a notification when we release a new episode. And if you can, if you really enjoy it, share our episodes.
Absolutely. You never know who it's going to help, right? So
Exactly. All right.
All right.
Well, it was a pleasure, Putties.
It was a pleasure, Marty.
See, you've grown accustomed to my "it was a pleasure."
I don't know that I would use the word accustom. I think I'm just like getting used to you saying like weird things, and I just like go along with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were high pitched there.
I'm sorry. Do you know how many times I have to deal with your high pitchedness? So anyways.
So anyways, if you got a little bit of love to spare, throw it around, help it around, throw it around, help me around, hit the now, hit the name, pow, pow, pow.
All right, let's do that one again.
So if you have any love to spare, share it with somebody out there in the world, whether it's somebody you love, somebody you care for, or a stranger. Ladies and gentlemen, share the love.
Smile.
That was so corny.
It was. You're loving the corniness lately, I swear.
So if you have a little bit of love to spare, guys, share it with somebody you love, somebody you care for. Share it with a stranger. A smile, a simple gesture
Goes a long way.
goes a long way, and it might help somebody that day. So share it. Share the good vibes.
Absolutely. And until next time.
Much love.
Bye. Bye.
Much love. Much love. Much love, guys. Much love.
That's a little creepy.
That's creepy.
Just a little bit.
All right. Much love.
There we go.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, it was normal.
Okay. Okay, bye.
Goodbye.